Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Brand new episode here at the Young Bulls Podcast. As always, this episode is presented by LegacyJerseyShop, your one-stop shop for every soccer jersey known to man. If you want to broaden your collection of soccer jerseys, go to LegacyJerseyShop and cop a jersey. Tell them that Dinari sent you. I got my jersey from there, so make sure you get yours from there as well. Also, sponsored by RBPod.com. Everything Young Bulls Podcast all in one place. You want to listen to old episodes, go there. You want to look at old photos, go there. If you want to be a guest on the show, fill out the form on their site and just do it and, be a part of something special here at YBPod. So, YBPod.com and Legacy Jersey Shops are today's sponsors. As you guys know, yesterday was the first week of NFL football, man. It was a lot of good football on display, from the 1 o'clock games to the final game of the night, which was Sunday night, which was, we'll get to in a second, but that was absolutely probably one of the best Sunday night games I've seen in a minute. Ravens-Bills always seems to be exciting, and this last game, it lived up to it, every second of it. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to talk about the Lions and Packers, talk about Micah Parsons' debut with Green Bay, and whether or not the reign of the Detroit Lions as NFC North favorites is pretty much over. We're going to talk about Cam Ward's debut last night. We're going to talk about the Saints, man. I have a lot to say about that game, but, if for a second it looked like they're going to win it, but, we'll get to that in a few. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers' return to New York, and we're just going to talk about some things, heading into next week and everything like that, especially with the Saints playing the 49ers next week and things of that nature. But without further ado, man, let's get going. Let's get started. First game we're going to talk about is obviously the game of the night. Ravens-Bills. The Bills take care of business at home after being down 40-25 with less than 5 minutes left to go in the game. They were able to come back and not only score twice, but also get the game-winning field goal to win the game, 41-40. Both teams absolutely played amazing. As far as offense is concerned, defense for the Ravens, man, they're going to be getting eaten alive today at practice, man. Because simply put, if you're up by 40-25 with less than 5 minutes to go, granted that's enough time for anything to happen. It shouldn't have happened, man. Lamar Jackson literally played the most perfect game that you could possibly play, and they still found a way to lose the game. And it goes back to what I was saying before. Me and my roommate, actually, shout out to my guy Will, we were talking about Lamar Jackson and his accolades and everything like that a couple of weeks ago. And I kept saying to him how Lamar Jackson, simply put, does not have the help that he needs to take care of business. With all due respect, man, if we look at, just the game yesterday, Zay Flowers was the most targeted receiver for the Ravens with 143 yards, 7 receptions. Derrick Henry on the ground, 18 carries, 169 yards, 2 tutties. Lamar Jackson, 2 touchdowns, 209 yards, a 93.3 passer rating. Lamar, Derrick Henry, and Zay Flowers literally showed up last night, and they still lost the game. And it solely just comes down to the defense. It solely comes down to the defense. There was one play in particular, man, that I remember from last night. I believe it was like a 4th and goal or something like that. It was a 4th and goal. And this was the touchdown to cut the lead, I believe, to like 8. But simply put, this shouldn't have even happened. So what happened was that Josh Allen's in the shotgun, whatever, hikes the ball, pressure's coming from both sides. He's running out the pocket. He thinks he's going to just throw a prayer into the end zone, which is exactly what he does. He throws a prayer into the end zone. It gets tipped up in the air. We're thinking, it's incomplete. Keon Coleman continues his route or his chew and everything like that, redirects himself, comes back to the ball, catches in the end zone, touchdown. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. And then they got the ball back off the fumble. They scored again, got the 2-point conversion, and that was it. It was game from there. And it's literally one of those things where it's it shouldn't have happened. This game felt like it was put away after Zay Flowers scored that second touchdown to have them get to 40 points. This game seemed like it was over. It was Baltimore's taking care of business. This was a good revenge game, especially after what happened last season. And Simply put, it wasn't the case. And it sucks because when you look at the Ravens team, man, just compared to last year, like their team looks scarier, man. They literally were manhandling the Bills earlier in this game. The defense was showing up. Kyle Hamilton was showing up. Everybody was showing up. I don't know what happened for those final 5 minutes of the game, but simply put, they didn't want it bad enough to apparently win the game, and which is why they lost the game. And I've been talking about the Ravens and how they played last night. Let me go ahead and talk about Josh Allen, man. Let me go ahead and talk about Josh Allen. Josh Allen, 394 yards. Keon Coleman, 8 receptions, 112 yards receiving. It was just a fantastic game for the both of them, man. And a game where, honestly, this had more to do about the MVP race last year, I feel like, than a revenge game. When you look at this game from the Bills' perspective, obviously Josh Allen is the reigning MVP. This game literally is a game to start off the season to not only show why I am the best quarterback in this league, but why that MVP race last year went the right way. The way Josh Allen played last night, man, it's even hard for me as a Lamar Jackson fan to be like, I don't know if Lamar's the best in the league anymore. And it's crazy because Lamar, as a Saints fan, man, I know good quarterback play. Shout out to my boy Drew Brees, man. But I'm looking at Josh Allen, I'm like, what Josh Allen did last night was absolutely amazing, man. It's amazing. And in the league now where you see how the Chiefs played the other day, you see how there's no help and everything like that, you're seeing what Josh Allen is doing and you're like, nah, for once it looks like the Bills may actually be the favorites to do something this year. I'm not sitting up here saying Lamar Jackson's regressed or anything like that. But when you simply put, when you have playmakers making plays and doing things that are required for your team to win a game, things are going to happen. Josh Allen threw the ball 46 times last night. Lamar only threw the ball 19 times. And simply put, it's just no other help. Hold on, let me pull up the stats. If I can, let me see. So Zay Flowers had 7 receptions yesterday. DeAndre Hopkins had 2 for 35 yards. Rashad Bateman had 2. Mark Andrews had 1. Justice Hill had 1. Again, no help. No help. It's simply put, it's no help. Now let's look at the Bills side of things. Receptions. Keon Coleman had 8 receptions for 112. Khalil Shakir, 6 receptions, 64 yards. Palmer, 5 receptions, 61. Cook, 5 receptions. Kincaid, 4. Halls, 1. Knox, 2. Moore, 1. Ray Davis, 1. You see how with Josh Allen and the Bills, what they're doing is they have so many different ways they can chop you up through the passing game that makes it so much easier for them to continue to not only just move downfield, but to get into the end zone and score. When you look at the Ravens, outside of Derrick Henry, outside of Lamar Jackson running, and Zay Flowers, and maybe a dash of Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews, there is no other help there. There is no other help. For the past couple of seasons, when you look at the Ravens have had everything they possibly needed on defense. Their defense has been solid. You look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's going to do what Lamar Jackson's going to do. That's him. He's him. But when you look at anybody else on that team, on the offensive side, you're like, how can Lamar Jackson work out with these weapons, man? And I'm not even saying it again as a dig, but it's like, how can you expect him to be the best that he can be with all these weapons? You look at who Mahomes has had in prior years with Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. You look at who Aaron Rodgers has had in prior years with, even when you look at earlier in his career with Jordy Nelson or Devontae Adams. You've had all these years with the Ravens where when they've had receivers, it's been on any other team, wide receiver 3 is not bona fide wide receiver 1s. And then you finally get this year, last year even, with Zay Flowers and this year with Zay Flowers, it's like that's going to be the wide receiver one. But it's the only reason why it's the wide receiver one is because there's no other clear option. There's no other option. If this was DeAndre Hopkins back in 2014, 2015, I'd be like, oh, him with Lamar, that's going to be insane. That's going to be nice. But DeAndre Hopkins, who is older, who's not as explosive as he once was, is not going to help you guys out in the way that you guys think. Think about how Julio Jones was on the Eagles like 2 years ago. When Julio Jones got signed to Philadelphia, nobody was expecting Julio Jones to go back to how he was playing in Atlanta. I don't even know his stats when he was with the Eagles, or remember how much he played when he was there. But simply put, man, in order for Lamar and the Ravens to make any sort of strides at winning a bowl, they need help in that receiving core. They need help, need actual help. Like on the off seasons when people are talking about extensions and they need to pay this person and who to go out and sign, they need to get another receiver. And I'm not saying they need to go out and go get a big name or anything like that, but a solid wide receiver too could just take the load off of Zay Flowers to help out would be amazing. It would be absolutely amazing, man. Because I, for one, have been seeing Lamar Jackson get taken out of the playoffs by the Bills. I've seen him get taken out by the Chiefs. I've seen him getting taken out by Tennessee since he's been in the league. And I, for one, want to see Lamar Jackson go to the bowl and represent the AFC, man. Lamar Jackson has done almost everything in this league except for win a Super Bowl. How many more seasons do we have to sit here and look at Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, at the beginning of the season and be like, you know what? They have all the tools and tangibles. They can win the bowl. They can do this. They can go far. And then we'll be surprised in playoff time when they don't make those strides. And granted, this may be an overreaction after one game. This may be an overreaction. The Ravens may very much well be fine after this week. Who knows? They may go on a win streak or something like that. But I will say that I feel like the constant trend with Baltimore, with the Ravens, since Lamar has been in the league, is that when it comes to the department of getting help, he doesn't have it, even when he balls out. I've seen games where Lamar Jackson has had the best polished game I've seen him play, and they still lose the game because he has no help on the other side of the ball. If the score would have stood the way it did, instead of the Bills coming back and winning the game, people would be talking about the Ravens in a whole different light today, saying that they're the best team in the AFC. They're feared. That was a statement win last night. Putting up 40 points against any team is a statement itself. But putting up 40 points with your two biggest weapons on offense playing the way they did, I'll say three biggest weapons on offense playing the way they did, and still coming out as a loser in that game is absolutely unacceptable, man. For the Ravens, I hope for you guys' sake, you guys clean it up because, simply put, you guys cannot waste these performances from players like Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers, man. And y'all can't waste the talent that you guys have on this team because there's just an overabundance of talent on both sides of the ball. But simply put, in order for you guys to make any sort of strides, I simply just feel that you guys just need way more help in the receiving department than you already have. Because throwing it to Zay Flowers 7 times and running the ball with Derrick Henry as much as you have, and working him and working those two, and not really having any other pieces to throw the ball to and anything like that, is not going to help you guys when it comes to later in the season when you guys need more weapons and when people figure out the game plan. Do I still have the Ravens coming out the AFC? Of course. Do I still think that they'll be fine in the division? Of course. Do I still think Lamar's going to win MVP this year? Of course. But after last night, though, I will say, Josh Allen, definitely. I mean, it was just a good game, man. It was a good game. It's a good game. And then for the Bills, man, I feel like they always have a great team come regular season. Always. The same thing that I said about Lamar Jackson and him and no help. I feel like with the Bills, man, they have all the weapons they needed to get to a bowl. And quite honestly, they should have been in a bowl in the past 3 years. But simply put, they can't seem to show up in the playoff. Josh Allen can have the best game of his life in the playoff and still lose to Kansas City. And we've seen that on numerous occasions. And a year where, after seeing how the Chiefs played last Friday, where they don't seem like the big, bad team in the AFC anymore, I feel like it's time for a new guard to step in. So between the Ravens or the Bills, man, I feel like one of those teams are going to be the teams that come out of the AFC this year. I already said the Ravens will, but I feel like this is the perfect time for Josh Allen to emerge as that feared quarterback to take over for Patrick Mahomes, man. Moving on, though. Lions-Packers yesterday, man. Yesterday was a very, very exciting time at Lambeau Field yesterday. Obviously, Lions and the Packers, two storied NFC rivals, divisional rivals, new signees, new look, coordinating on the Detroit side, new look defense on the Green Bay side. It was made for an exciting game. And the Packers came out on top, man. Green Bay held Detroit to no points in the first quarter, only held them to 3 points in the second, held them to 3 points in the third quarter. Detroit didn't get their first touchdown until the fourth quarter, which at this point I believe was garbage time. Green Bay scored in every quarter except for the third quarter. Jordan Love had 188 yards, 16 for 22, 2 touchdowns with a 92.1 passer rating. Jared Goff, 225 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I mean, look, man, I said this, man, before the game. I definitely thought that Detroit was going to come out on top. But when you look at, just simply put, the game yesterday and the defense for Green Bay, man, they look scary. With Micah Parsons there, they look scary. Detroit has had basically a free, easy pass to win the NFC North the past 2 seasons. Their only real competition these past 2 seasons of winning the NFC North was Green Bay. And even with that, it's like it was a competition, but that was because I was probably one of the only other good teams in that division. I feel like that reign is over this year, man. I feel like Detroit is still going to be a playoff team, most definitely. But I feel like especially with Michael Parsons coming to this division as well, and I feel like that window for them to make it far in the playoffs is closing. You have to also take into account as well for Detroit. They lost their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator over the offseason, Aaron Glenn, and they also lost Ben Johnson. So now you have a whole new look offense. You have a whole new look defense, whole different identity, different play styles, different formations, all that stuff. And simply put, you need time to adjust. Let me see. Yeah. And then let's look at the rushing game as well. David Montgomery for the Lions, 25 yards, 11 carries. Jahmyr Gibbs, 9 carries for 19 yards. Jameson Williams, 1 carry for 3 yards. So, I mean, it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things. I just feel like the defense just added a whole different layer to Green Bay. Green Bay, obviously, last year with getting Josh Jacobs, they had the rushing. They had, a more balanced offense. But now that you have this defense into the account, it's like they can kill you in the air, they can kill you on the ground, they can kill you without even scoring the ball like that. And Green Bay, a team that's always been, I feel like, a consistent team when it comes to passing. is going to continue to do that as the season goes on. Now, again, just like I said with the Ravens-Bills, I don't think it's take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Don't expect me to be like, oh, okay, well, Detroit's, they're done for. Like, they're not making any strides. They're not going to win anything. It's whatever. But I will say, though, that this game, I feel like, more than anything, was a statement sort of game for Green Bay. To basically say to the rest of the NFC North and the NFC, like, yo, like, you guys are talking about the Eagles. You guys are talking about, all these different favorites. We're favorites too. Like, we are up there as well. Our team can make some noise, and we're scary too. And you see what we just did to the NFC North champs last year. To a team that won 13 games last year, if I'm not mistaken. We held all their big names in check. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 receptions, 45 yards. We held him in check. Only one receiver for Detroit got over 50 yards receiving, and that was Sam Laporta, who went for 79 yards yesterday. And their one touchdown came from Isaac Tesla, who had a ridiculous one-handed catch in the back of the end zone, again, during garbage time. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Detroit looks as the season goes on. Obviously, like I said, new looks, new schemes, all that, play calling, all that, that's new this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to look as the season goes on, one. And not only that, but also see how they can continue to maximize the golden age of Detroit Lions football, which is right now. Because, simply put, the year before last, they definitely should have went into the bowl. That didn't happen. They choked to the 49ers. So what? Last year, losing to the Commanders in your first home playoff game, that shouldn't have happened. It happened. I don't know how many more years they have to be able to go to the playoffs and make runs to get to a Super Bowl. The team is built to win now. So, with all that being said, if it's built to win now, how long do they have to possibly maximize that window? But all in all, though, I mean, it's just one of those things where you're like, just watching, man. Just watching and seeing. Because I feel like if Detroit goes the next couple of seasons without one trip to the Super Bowl, people are going to be looking at Detroit like, yo, like, how? Like, how is that even possible? You guys are winning 12 games, 13 games, home field advantage in the playoffs, and you guys couldn't get past the NFC Championship game once? How is that even possible? No bowl? With this amount of talent? No bowl? How is that even possible? It's going to be like another, what if in the league. So just keep a lookout for that. But I simply feel like with all the other teams in the NFC North starting to find their identity, I feel like their reign may be close to being finished. Moving on, man. Moving on. Tennessee against Denver. Shout out to my boy Brandon, biggest Broncos fan that I know. We're not talking about the Broncos, man. We're not talking about the Broncos. We're talking about the debut of Cam Ward, man. Cam Ward. One of my favorite rising quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks in this league, man. Cam Ward. Now, when I watch, I'm not going to sit up here and sugarcoat and act like I watched the whole game front to back. But what I will say is I caught the third and the fourth quarter. Simply put, I caught one of the last possessions of the game before the game was simply like over and everything like that. Cam Ward was making something out of nothing, man. Cam Ward, 12 for 28, 112 yards, averaged 4 yards per pass, 54.5 QB rating, had no touchdowns, no interceptions. Look at the receiving. Calvin really had the most receptions for 27 yards. After that, it was Chig Okonkwo with 19 yards for 3 receptions. Alec Ayo Menor, 13 yards, 2 receptions. And everybody else had either 1 or 0. But when you look at as far as receptions, you look at as far as just the help, man, Cam Ward didn't really have any. I mean, granted, the defense for the Broncos is nice, but there was a lot of times where I was seeing Cam Ward throw the ball, and it was a lot of drops taking place, man. Cam Ward didn't look phased. Like, he didn't look too nervous, but, he was showing his inexperience in that QB position. Granted, this is his first start, so you expect this from rookies, man. You don't expect rookies to come in right away and be like, I'm ready. Yeah, granted, he is the number one pick, but I feel like he'll be fine. This was a game that Tennessee very much could have taken to overtime as well. You look at the scoring layout, it was 3-3 in the first. Tennessee had 2 field goals in the second. Denver had a touchdown. Both teams traded field goals in the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, Denver scored a touchdown. The game was very much in the hands of the Titans. The Titans could have definitely did something. It didn't come out that way. I feel like the Titans can bounce back from this. This is still a team that is rebuilding. This is a team that still has. I feel like this is a very much a huge step up from what they had last year. To only lose by 8 to a team that was in the playoff last year, I feel like it's never a bad thing. But I feel like any Titans fan is just happy that it's Cam Ward behind center than Will Levis. Respectfully. Because the gifts, the memes, all that came out of that season last year, it was bad. It was bad. It was rough. So I feel like as far as the Titans, they'll be fine. Cam Ward's can continue to grow his play and continue to play at a way that was synonymous to how he played in Miami. I feel like the Titans in a couple years will be a team that is not feared in the AFC, but they will be a playoff team. But simply put, with Calvin Ridley as your best receiver, that's really all you got. I'm not sitting up here going to act like this team should be a playoff team this year, but it's a rebuild. So it's going to come with the territory, man. But I feel like the more and more Ward continues to progress, and the more and more he continues to play the way that Tennessee and the organization needs him to play, they're going to continue to win games, and they're going to get pieces around him that's going to help him out as well. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about Denver, but I have to look at the Broncos side of things. Bo Nix, 25 for 40, 176 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. RJ Harvey rushing, 6 carries, 70 yards. J.K. Dobbins, 16 carries, 63 yards. And then you look at receiving, Cortland Sutton, touchdown yesterday, 61 yards and 6 receptions. Troy Franklin with 44 yards, followed by Evan Ingram with 21 yards, and Tyler Batty with 16 yards. I mean, again, if I'm Denver, if I'm Sean Payton in that locker room, like, I'm happy we got the win, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, we need to play better than what we played. Because especially, I think it was a fourth down. I think this is exactly how the Titans got the ball back with a chance to tie the game. I think it was like a 3rd and 5. The Titans stopped them, and they went for it on 4th down. They went for it, and Bo Nix drops back, looks, and Justin Simmons on the Titan side brought pressure. Bo Nix throws a heave to the end zone. Looked like, separation. I think it was Troy Franklin who was down there. I don't know if it was him or Cortland Sutton. But there was a receiver down there, and he overthrew him. If he would have caught that ball, it would have been 1st and goal with like maybe a minute 30 left. They could have needed. That could have been game. But because the ball was overthrown, Titans take the ball, take over at midfield with the chance to tie the game. Now, granted, am I saying that with them, making that play, that's the game? Of course. But what I'm also saying is that in situations like those, I feel like it would have just been better to just punt the ball off, Punt the ball off, pin them back deep, and just see if Cam Ward can march down the field and make plays. And granted, they stopped him. Cam Ward fumbled the ball. They got the ball back. They won the game. But I felt like they left the door open for them to come back and win the game. Again, though, it's week 1. You're not going to have everything ironed out in week 1. I'm not expecting them to go out and demolish, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know how to feel. If I'm a Broncos fan, like, I'm happy we got the win, but at the same time, I'm like, we very much let them still be in the game. Like Bo Nix, like 2 picks, very much let them still be in the game. So, I mean, I don't know. Moving on. Moving on. Got a little NFC South talk right here. Tampa Bay and Atlanta played yesterday. Obviously, it was a good game, actually. It was a good game up into the last minutes, but the Buccaneers came out on top, simply put. I was talking to one of my friends the other day. Shout out to my boy Sterling. He was asking me about, he's a Bucs fan. He was asking me, like, do you think that the Falcons are taking the division this year? I told him, ultimately, the division still runs through Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, I believe, has won the division 6 years straight, I believe. 6 years straight. The Falcons are going to be a good team this year, of course. They were a good team last year. They were nice. Michael Penix arrived last year. He started play. He was nice. He's following his last year success heading into this year. Michael Penix yesterday went for 298 yards, a touchdown, 27 for 42, 93.2 passer rating. Baker Mayfield, 17 for 32, 167 yards, 3 tutties. So both quarterbacks played well, but ultimately, this game, I feel like this game definitely fell on the hands of the Falcons defense, man. One time in particular, towards trying to think, I believe it was the fourth quarter. The Buccaneers had the ball. They're moving down the field. And Mayfield was dropping out of the pocket. He was rolling to his right. And he was throwing the ball. I think he threw the ball away. And one of the defensive tackles, I forgot his name, roughed the passer. By doing that, automatic first down. But literally on the next play, Baker Mayfield hits up Emeka Egbuka for a touchdown. His second touchdown of the game at this point. By the way, who also had 67 yards and averaged 16.8 yards per reception. They scored a touchdown there. The kicker misses the field goal, which makes it a 3-point game. Penix gets the ball back. Falcons are moving down the field. They're like, whoa, like we could actually score a touchdown here. They don't get into the end zone. They bring out Young Hoku to kick the field goal to tie the game. The first one before the timeout, he kicks it, he drills it. No problem. So it's like, all right, cool. There's nowhere in the world that Young Hoku's going to miss this one. Come back from the timeout, tries it again, kicks it, wide right, game's over. That game very much could have went to overtime. That game should have, honestly, final score definitely should have been 24-20. But that game very much could have went to overtime. And the Falcons very much could have pulled that game off. And it's one of those things where you look at the game and everything like that, and you're like, they shot themselves in the foot. The Buccaneers didn't play that clean of a game either, but they were able to come out on top and win the game. You look at the receiving for the Falcons. Bijan Robinson, 6 receptions, 100 yards. Kyle Pitts, 7 receptions, 59 yards. Hopefully this is a breakout season for him because I still drafted him in fantasy, and he's let me down in almost every single season I've drafted him. Drake London, 8 receptions, 55 yards. Ray McLeod, 3 receptions, 51 yards. And then followed that with Casey Washington, 3 receptions, 33 yards. And, I mean, the Falcons defense, outside of that one play, that one roughing the passer penalty, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. Like, it was, again, they could grow on this performance. I mean, next week, I'm trying to see their schedule right now. The Falcons are playing the Vikings next week on Sunday Night Football. The Falcons could win that game. Which is why I feel like tonight is going to be so important too, because even with the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears playing tonight, you have one team that has their identity at quarterback. They have their play style. Ben Johnson coming in from Detroit brings a whole new layer of just flair and flash to an already supercharged Bears offense. Obviously with Caleb Williams, you have DeAndre Swift, Rome Odunze, you have Colston Loveland. You have all these pieces. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play tonight in the Windy City on Sunday night. Then you have the Vikings, who had the Sam Darnold experiment last year. They're bringing in J.J. McCarthy, who's supposed to be the future of this team. You have, obviously, Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson. You have Aaron Jones, I believe, at your running back position. Let me see, actually. Let me make sure I got that right. Because I'm saying Aaron Jones. I want to make sure I am right on that. I'm 90% sure, but let me see. Yeah, I was right. I was right. So, again, this is going to be, interesting to see. And obviously, you have the return of Adam Thielen, too. It's going to be interesting to check that out. I'm excited to look at that game later, see what the Vikings look like, see if they're going to be a threat this year in the NFC, or this is going to be somewhat of a rebuild year. We will see. Mind you, J.J. McCarthy should have been playing last year, but because he got injured, he had to sit out a year. It's going to be interesting to see if that success and that winning and culture that he had at Michigan is going to follow him throughout his NFL career. So I'm excited to check that game out for sure. Speaking of NFC South, man, I'll be remiss to talking about the NFC South if I cannot talk about my team and how they played at 1 o'clock yesterday. The New Orleans Saints, man. If you have been up here, you've been around me for the past week, let alone if you've just checked out my socials for the past couple of months, you will know just how much I have been waiting for Saints football to be back, man. And man, oh man, there's never been much more of an indicator that Saints football is back than seeing Chris Olave still get decked and still be put in medical tents, and we're not even through week 1 yet, man. I believe I said on Friday that when it came to the Saints, when you do so much losing, you have nothing else to lose, man. And granted, we lost yesterday, but it felt like it was a tough one. It was a tough loss. It was a tough loss. But I will say that I was bummed that we lost the game, but at the same time, I was like, I'm not as mad as I was with other losses. Like, seeing how we lost yesterday, I was like, it stung a little bit, but at the same time, it was like, I had to survive Dennis Allen. You know what I'm saying? Like, losing like this to the Cardinals versus losing 30-0 to the Packers on Monday Night Football. Like, that's, obviously, I would take this loss more. You get what I'm saying? If he would have gotten blown out yesterday, I would have been heated today. But even looking at the highlights and just looking at what happened with us, the only thing that I really need to say is, Cam Jordan, I owe you an apology. I owe you an apology. Obviously, you are still that dude. You are still the same Cam Jordan who was affecting defenses back in your prime. And there was some times yesterday where I was saying to myself, why is Cam Jordan in the game? He's old. He needs to do this. He needs to do that. Cam Jordan came up and got some huge sacks for us. But, our secondary? No, man, I wasn't rocking with that. Isaac Yiadom seemed like he was getting routed up by literally the whole team yesterday. Marvin Harrison was taking turns. Their tight end, McBride, was taking turns. It was bad. It was bad. Kool-Aid McKinstry. It was bad, man. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. There was numerous times on the defense where we would have the Cardinals on 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 15, and the Cardinals would convert every single time because our defense couldn't get us off the field. I feel like that's what killed us the most. We started off the game. It was It was 7-3. We scored a touchdown with Kamara. Spirits were high. Literally, the next Cardinals possession, they get the ball. Kyler Murray drops back, looks, throws a bomb downfield over who? Kool-Aid McKinstry to Marvin Harrison. And then what happens on 3rd and goal? Marvin Harrison touchdown on a simple crossing route. I called my friend Jamal, the Eagles fan, the one that made me wear this Eagles jersey to class last year, with that bet. I called him at the beginning of the game, halftime, and towards the end of the game when we got the ball back. To put in perspective, after I called him after the Saints scored that first touchdown, I called Jamal. I said, we're back this year, Saints Nation, front line, all this stuff, whatever, right? After that call, we did not proceed to score a touchdown for the rest of the game. I'm looking at the box score, right? The Saints did not score a touchdown for the rest of the game. The first quarter, the Saints had 0 points. The second quarter, we had a touchdown and a field goal. The third quarter, we had no points. And the fourth quarter, we only had 3. And then obviously, when you talk about the last drive of the game with Spencer Rattler, and you talk about the overturned catch ruling on Chris Olave, when it clearly looked like he caught the ball, which I can't even sit up here and be like, oh, the refs are cheating us. Because, like, you look at the box score, we deserve to lose that game. There was one point in particular where it was the 3rd and 5. We were in the red zone. We were making plays after plays. Could have had a chance to cut the lead. You know, I think this was in the third quarter, actually. Had a chance to cut the lead and everything like that. Get back into the game. Get some points on the board. Whatever, right? 3rd and 5, we don't get the touchdown. It's 4th and 5. We're in the red zone. We need points. The fans are calling for the Saints to go for it. In my eye, I would say I wouldn't care. If we would have went for it, cool. If we would have gotten the 3, cool. But it's 20-13. Obviously, at this point, we had not scored a touchdown. I believe this was like the 5-minute mark in the third quarter. The Saints had every opportunity to just say, go for it. Let's just see what happens, whatever. We choose to go get a field goal. We missed the field goal. The game stays 20-13. No, the game stays 20-10. 20-10. And then we didn't get 3 until the fourth quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, after our defense finally gives us a chance to get back into the game, it's too late. Because we already wasted our timeouts, and we only had 2 chances to get into the end zone. And dare I say, one of the chances we had to score to tie the game, that beautiful pass by Spencer Rattler to Juwan Johnson, who had to turn around in midair to catch the ball. A catch I've seen Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill, trying to think of some more, Jimmy Graham, make numerous of times. He has a chance to catch it. He drops the ball. And then the last play of the game, Spencer Rattler throws a duck into the end zone. And I don't even know who he was throwing to, but that was game. And, like, part of me knew, like, heading into this game, like, you know, there's a good chance you're going to lose the game. But it's never cool to lose games like that, man. Because that game was very much exciting. But as a fan, as someone who, you know, just remembered watching the Saints last year, it's like, dude, we're not winning any games with Rashid Shaheed not getting more passes than he got yesterday. Rashid Shaheed got 6 receptions for 33 yards. And I believe we didn't get Shaheed involved until the second half. Chris Olave, 7 receptions, 54 yards, but I'm nervous about how he is heading into week 2 because he was in the medical tent on numerous occasions in last night's game. Juwan Johnson, 8 receptions, 76 yards. Brandon Cooks, 3 receptions, 26 yards. You know? Vele, 1 reception for 13 yards. And shout out to Kamara for giving us our only touchdown, man, but dang, dude, like, oh my gosh, like, it's just so rough, man. It's so rough. Rattler he didn't play bad, but He threw the ball 46 times yesterday. And when you don't have a solid running game, or you don't have like playmakers, that many playmakers at the receiving position, it's so hard. It is so hard. You look at the receiving for the Cardinals, right? Marvin Harrison, a touchdown, 71 yards, 5 receptions. Trey McBride, 61 yards, 6 receptions. Tip Ryman, 10 yards, 1 reception. Murray threw to 9 different receivers. Rattler threw to only 6. So it's like, dude, it's just one of those things, man. It's one of those things. It's like, obviously heading into next year, man, because I'm already like flipping the page on it. Heading into next year, it's like we obviously need a quarterback, because I'm just going off of this week alone. I don't know how long they're going to give Rattler the starting position. I don't know how long until we say we're going to turn to Tyler Show. I don't know. But obviously we're in rebuilding mode, so I can't sit up here and, get super overly angry about it, because we're just not built to win right now. We're not built to win. We're not a team that's going to be in the playoff this year, and I'm cool with that. This is probably one of the first times I've had into a season of watching NFL ball knowing that my team is already trash, man. And being like, yeah, nothing's really happening for us, man. Next week, we play the 49ers. I'm not trying to deal with Fred Warner on a 1 o'clock on CBS, man. I'm not trying to deal with that. I'm not trying to deal with that and Nick Bosa, man. Dude, George Kittle was out the game after one series yesterday against Seattle, and they still won the game. And that was against a good team in Seattle. I can only imagine what's going to happen against us at home. And then the week after that, we got to go to Buffalo? Hold on a sec, man. Hold on a sec. My fault. So we had Arizona yesterday, 49ers after that. 49ers after that. Seattle. And then we go to Buffalo. And then New York. And then New England. Chicago, Tampa. Like, yo, why are we playing the Bills week 4? Why are we doing this, man? Why are we doing this? Why? And I'm already knowing, too, that, if there was any sort of record that you could break, I'm already knowing it's going to happen against us, man. Granted, check back in with me week 4 against Buffalo and see if we have a win yet. Hopefully we do. But I'm looking through those 4 games. I'm like, we may actually be 0-4 by the time we play Buffalo, man. Honestly, by the time we play New England, we may actually be 1-5. At best. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a long season. I'm not gonna lie. I'm buckled up for it though. Man. It's gonna be a long season to play. It's gonna be a long season just for watching the Saints, man. Oh man. Oh my gosh. Everybody else team's gonna be winning. My team's gonna be just there, man, just stuck. And it didn't really come to me yesterday that my team was that bad. When yesterday we were watching, me and my friends were watching the Sunday night game. And everybody who was watching the game, they all supported different teams and stuff, obviously. And literally, me and this other, one of my other friends were the only 2 teams that day who lost. And he's a Giants fan, so, at least we scored a touchdown, but yeah, man. I don't even want to talk about the Giants because, even from a fan perspective, man, that must be rough. That must be rough. I feel like for the Giants, man, I don't know how long you guys are going to use Russell Wilson. I don't know how long he's going to be playing QB1 for you guys. But you guys honestly have nothing else to lose. I would just start Dart and just see how that goes for you guys, man. Because he was playing great in the preseason, and he was bringing a lot of excitement into the Giants organization and everything like that, and the culture. I would just give it to Dart and just see what happens with it, man. He had some time yesterday. Scatterboo also played, some downs yesterday for the Giants. I would just let the young guys play and just see where it goes from there. Because, I'm not sitting up here saying y'all gonna make, y'all gonna make a run this year, but you guys know y'all not gonna make a run. What do you guys have to lose to put Dart in the game, So we'll see. But back to the Saints though, man. Rattler, I'm not mad at your performance. I feel like you played as best as you didn't play as best as you could, but you played solid. You kept us in the game, which I respect. You made plays on your feet when you couldn't make it on the air. And you made plays in the air when you couldn't on your feet. I'm not mad at your performance, but I'm like, I want to see more next week, man. Especially with a team like the 49ers. Like, that defense is going to be unforgiving. That defense is going to be tough to deal with. But hopefully we show some signs of, okay, maybe Rattler can finally get that coveted win as a starter. Because heading into this game, Rattler still was winless as a starter. And he is still winless as a starter after the game as well. So hopefully things can change for that. Things can change. I'm still a Saints fan, though. Like, I joked with my friend. I said, if we're 0-9 by week... if we're 0-9 by, like, week 9 or 10 or something like that, I'm switching. But, nah, man. I've already made it this far, man. It's going to be even sweeter when we finally make the playoffs again, man. After, 4 or 5 years of rebuilding? Man, actually terrible. I really don't think we're going to get better until Mickey Loomis is fired, but we'll see. But lastly, on the games that I want to talk about from yesterday, Aaron Rodgers returned to New York. Now, the Steelers were in a lot of off-season conversations, during the off-season with where was Aaron Rodgers going to go, who was going to be their quarterback with Russell Wilson being gone. The secondary, Jalen Ramsey signing there. DK Metcalf also coming there. Where are going to be the weapons? Who is going to be the quarterback? And just a lot of questions. And they got their answer in Aaron Rodgers. And when he first got signed, I was like, I don't know how to feel about it. Like, you saw how he played with the Jets. I don't think he's going to bring that level of success over to the Steelers. And I was wrong. Because Aaron Rodgers probably had one of the best games I've seen Aaron Rodgers have in a minute. Aaron Rodgers yesterday went 22 for 30, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. And he was taunting the fans after the game. Justin Fields, and that's the thing too. Like, you would think that the Jets, like, Justin Fields had a bad game. He was hooping too. 218 yards, 1 touchdown. You look at the rushing for the Steelers. Jalen Warren, 37 yards, 11 carries. Gainwell, 19 yards, 7 carries. Aaron Rodgers, he even rushed. He lost a yard, but versatility right there. You look at the Jets. Breece Hall, 107 yards, 19 carries. Fields, 48 on the ground, 12 carries, Receiving for the Steelers, Metcalf, 83 yards, 4 receptions, great debut. Calvin Austin, 70 yards, 4 receptions. Freiermuth, 28 yards, 3 receptions. Jonnu Smith, 15 yards, 5 receptions. Ben Skrowinek, 22 yards, 1 reception. He had weapons. Garrett Wilson for the Jets, 95 yards, 7 receptions. Breece Hall, 38 yards, 2 receptions. Johnson, 31 yards, 2 receptions. Rucker, Reynolds, both had 2 receptions, 18 yards, 16 yards. Mason Taylor, 1 reception, 20 yards. The game was a close game. At one point, it seemed like the Jets were going to take control, win the game. But anytime that happened, the Steelers were clawing back in it. Jalen Ramsey literally had his best game yesterday. And people thought before the season, oh, he's going to be washed. Like, it was a good pickup, but, he's older now. He was hooping yesterday. He was all over the ball yesterday. And the Steelers were able to claw a gritty win at MetLife. Not going to lie to you, you look at the Steelers and everything like that and what could happen with Aaron Rodgers and everything. Next week, they have Seattle. They could very much well be 2-0. I'm not jumping the gun and saying anything about playoffs yet because it's only week 1. But Steelers could surprise a lot of heads this year. And for Aaron Rodgers, a player who many people obviously know about his experience and his success, he had a fall off last year. His 2 seasons in New York, one was marred with injury, one was marred with just bad play. He has a chance to basically remind people this season, like, yo, you guys forgot about me last year. I'm back, though. I'm back. Discount double check. I'm back. I'm here. I'm taking this team to the promised land. I'm taking this team. We're going to go far in the playoffs. We're going to make a run. And with how he played yesterday, I mean, the AFC is wide open. For the first time in years, the AFC looks wide open. There's new teams to look out for. There's new teams. Chargers. I mean, I know it's only week 1, but if the Colts play like that for the next 16 games, the Colts, I mean, dude, they put a thrashing on the Dolphins yesterday, 33-8. And Daniel Jones was hooping. The words Daniel Jones and hooping in the same sentence itself is absolutely nuts. But Daniel Jones was actually playing like a max contract quarterback yesterday, man. Dude was running the ball. He was passing the ball. He was doing everything he possibly could to win that game. And Tua, I feel like the experiment in Miami is over. I feel like Mike McDaniel is honestly on the hot seat. I mean, they have had opportunity after opportunity to make runs in the playoffs. They've had weapons for Tua, and they still can't perform to their best of their abilities. I feel like the writing's on the wall in Miami. I don't know what else they need to do. Maybe they need to move on from Tua, or they need to fire the head coach, or what. Losing 33-8, though, to the Colts, though, is absolutely, like, unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. So, again, hopefully it's not an overreaction, but I feel like this is probably one of my most on-par reactions I've had with anything that I've talked about on this episode. They need to do something down in Miami because only putting up 8 points is bad. It's not good. It's actually bad. It's actually bad. But yeah, I'm trying to see any more games from yesterday. Obviously, shout out to Ashton Genty, his first touchdown yesterday, and the Raiders took care of business against the Patriots. Obviously, the Commanders taking care of business against the Giants. We talked about that a little bit. Russell Wilson was not his best day. JD5, though, continuing to do JD5 things. Hopefully, he can carry that into Thursday night's game against the Packers is going to be a great test, early season test for the Commanders to just see where they are this season as far as are they still going to be that team to be feared in the NFC, or, again, is Green Bay going to continue to make noise and be like, we're here. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, Bengals taking care of business against the Browns, 17-16. Let me see how Joe Burrow played. Joe Burrow, 113 yards, 1 touchdown. Got sacked 3 times. Joe Flacco, he still got it, man. Joe Flacco, 45. He threw the ball 45 times. 31 for 45, 290 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. I mean, he was getting his people involved, though. Jerry Jeudy, 66 yards. Sampson, 64 yards. Fannin, 63 yards. Tillman, 52 yards. And Njoku, 37 yards. He was getting people involved. So, shout out to him. Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase with only 2 receptions is nuts. T. Higgins, only 3 receptions is also nuts. Noah Fant is their leading receiver with 4 receptions. T. Higgins had the most yards, though, with 33. Again, it's week 1. No need to overreact about that. Obviously, when it comes to receptions and everything, that is going to change. We talked a little bit about the Niners game. 17-13, they beat the Seattle. Jacksonville takes care of business against Carolina, 26-10. Rams, 14-9 against the Texans. Totally forgot that game actually happened yesterday. For some reason, I thought it was Monday night. Matthew Stafford, 245 yards, 1 touchdown. I still say Matthew Stafford is a premier quarterback in this league. I still say that. I'll die on that hill that Matthew Stafford is a premier quarterback in this league. And it's a reason why the Rams are still a dangerous team to look out for in the NFC. People talk about, the Lions. They talk about the Niners. They talk about the Falcons, the Commanders. But I feel like the Rams are very underrated in that aspect. They were the only team in the Eagles playoff run last year to actually give the Eagles any sort of problems. And Stafford was literally a Jalen Carter sack away from sending the Rams to possibly play in the Super Bowl again. CJ Stroud, 188 yards, 1 interception. Puka Nacua, 10 receptions for 130 yards. My word. Devontae Adams, 51 yards, 4 receptions. Rest of receivers outside of Kobe Parkinson had 1. Jaden Higgins, 32 yards, 2 receptions for the Texans. Hutchinson, 30 yards, 2 receptions. Dalton Schultz, 28 yards, 3 receptions. Nico Collins only having 3 receptions and 25 yards. Yeah, man. Nick Chubb ran for 6 yards, won 13 carries. I mean, it's just one of those things, man. Especially with last year when you had Stephon Diggs. It was something where, simply put, you had more, options. But this year without Stephon Diggs and obviously Tank Dell being out, don't really have that. And because of that, you only have 9 points. So, there you go. But with that being said, man, that's going to do it for this episode. This was a long episode for a very long season. Don't worry, we're going to have people on throughout the season to talk football. We're going to have people talking on, their teams. Not just the Eagles, not just the Saints, but definitely trying to get people on who represent different fans of different teams of the NFL this season. But with all that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for continuing to ride with me to the end of the episode. Again, it's sponsored by Legacy Jersey Shops and YBPod.com. Catch you guys later this week. I may do another episode on Thursday. We'll see how I'm feeling. We'll see how school is. But thank you guys for spending your Monday with me. Have a good one. Catch you guys later this week. Peace. Young Bulls Podcast exclusive, man. I'm here with Masai. He's going to talk about the Giants game yesterday, man. Talk about his thoughts, man, on the season. Here you go, man. The floor is yours.
I mean, honestly, I don't even have that much to say. I feel like we really have the same issues that we had last year. Can't stop the run. That affects our quarterback play terribly. We can't score in the end zone. We can't score in the red zone. And we can't stop the run. We have the exact same problems that we had last year. We fixed absolutely nothing. We upgraded our offensive line a little bit. We added Marcus Bowe, which, by the way, first of all, I'll get to Marcus Bowe in a second because he had a great preseason. But why in the world, why are we scheming up plays to throw to the rookie offensive lineman in the end zone when he's being guarded by 2 safeties? This is his 3rd NFL snap ever for a regular season, and he's getting the ball in the end zone. We have Malik fucking Neighbors. We have Theo Johnson. We have Tyrone Tracy. We have Cam Scatterboo. You saw the fucking blocks Cam Scatterboo was throwing yesterday, and you're telling me you're on the 3-yard line, you're first and goal at the end zone, and you can't get in the fucking end zone. You have to settle for a field goal when you have Cameron Scatterboo on your team. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And the offensive line, yes, we know Andrew Thomas is out. It should still not look that bad. In the past 2 years, we've invested in Jermaine Illuminor. We've invested in John Runyon. We've invested in fucking Greg Van Roten. We've invested in all of these guys, and we're still not seeing any results. We just paid James Hudson. He looks fucking terrible. That fucking T-Pain ass nigga. Man. And John Michael Smith, man, everybody's out here talking about fucking, we got to give up on Deonte Banks. Oh, we got to give up on Deonte Banks. He's had his scheme switched on him, within his second year, he lost his leadership in Xavier McKinney. His confidence is shot. He's going up against CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin twice a year. Not even talking about who he had to play last year. Play fucking Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. He's going up against literally like marquee receivers week in, week out. His confidence is shot. He has no leadership. He's having to play in. Why are we still playing zone? That's what I also don't understand. Fucking Shane Bowen. Why are we still playing fucking zone defense for the third year in a row? It's clearly not working. It's not working. We don't have the receiver. We're not playing to our receiver strengths. We're not playing to Deonte Banks' physicality. We're not playing to Paulson Adebo's ball hawking. We're not playing to Tyler Nubin's physicality and ball hawk skills. We are playing zone and it's not working. They are getting yards on us and they are just running all over us, man. Why are we not blitzing? Why are we not blitzing? We have Abdul Carter, the third overall pick, and we're just deciding to not blitz. We're only blitzing on fucking, third and long? And it's never fucking third and long because our run defense is ass.
How you feel about Russell Wilson?
He's not even all of the problem. He really isn't. Like when you're playing with that offensive line, anybody looks bad. Anybody looks bad. You saw what Daniel Jones did yesterday. Yeah, he was hooping. Look, I'm not saying that he's the fucking savior of Indiana. He's clearly not, even though like Indiana Jones is catchy. It's a Miami's defense with nobody on it. Who the fuck I can't name a single player on Miami defense. Jalen Ramsey, not there anymore. Javon Holland, not there anymore. Fucking, the DT they just got rid of. Nigga, fucking Minkah Fitzpatrick is the only player I can name on the Dolphins defense. Yeah, he got traded back from Pittsburgh. Yeah. But yeah, like man, yeah, it's like Dolphins secondary, bad, real fucking bad. Honestly, I guess probably worse than the Giants secondary since these nigga dropped like 30 on their head. That's pretty embarrassing. But anyways, Russell Wilson really isn't even that much of the problem, right? Like, the offensive line, that's the problem. The offensive line is the problem. It's so clearly been the problem for the past fucking decade. From the past fucking... Even since Eli was playing, like, the offensive line was a problem. And, like, if Andrew Thomas does not come back next week, which I am almost 99% sure that he will be back next week, I don't know what we're going to do. Like, genuinely. And, like, back to my John Michael Schmitz point, it's like, we're giving Deonte Banks all this fucking slack for, giving up on plays and da-da-da-da-da. And don't get me wrong, that's inexcusable. But are we gonna not sit here and act like we didn't pick John Michael Schmitz within the first, 3 rounds? I'm pretty sure John Michael Schmitz was the second-round pick right behind Deonte Banks. I could be wrong on that. It could have been Jalen Hyatt first. But anyways, he's taken no leaps. He has looked like the same wishy-washy player that he has for the past 3 years. And we're already ready to give up on Deonte Banks. We're already ready to give up this first round pick, almost barely 3 years ago at this point. And I'm like, why? We're really not serious about investing in offensive line depth. Like, Marcus Bowe has been a great player, looked great through preseason. I don't know why they had him running a fucking wheel route or whatever they had him doing in the end zone. But he's looked good, and we don't have anything else on that left side. Without Andrew Thomas, we are a fucking turnstile. We let anybody in. It's really fucking embarrassing. And this defensive line, man, I don't get why we're not blitzing. I don't get why we're not blitzing. Brian Burns had a great game on the opportunities that he got. Kayvon Thibodeau got to the quarterback. Abdul Carter, when he was able, got to the quarterback. We have him playing off-ball linebacker. He needs to get after the quarterback. That is the strength of our team. That is what our identity needs to be. But we're not fucking blitzing because Shane Bowen just doesn't know how to read a fucking defensive call sheet. He's fucking... I'm so glad that after this year, Shane Bowen will be gone. Because... every defensive coordinator in the fucking league is going to be frothing at the mouth trying to scheme with Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and maybe Kayvon Thibodeau. I feel like he's going to get traded at the deadline because he's a guy who could definitely haul in some capital, which is what we need desperately.
So, like, outlook on the season. Like, obviously, yesterday.
Oh, we're starting 0-4. We're starting 0-4. Like, Dallas, we play Dallas.
Okay.
Then we have a short week where we play Kansas. Wait, is it either the Kansas City week is short? No, because Kansas City is Sunday night. We play Kansas City Sunday night, and then we have a short week because we play Thursday? No, I'm misremembering. We have a short week somewhere within like the 3rd to the 4th, but it goes Dallas, Kansas City, then the Chargers, then the Saints, which is where, unfortunately, I think we will get our first win.
Yeah, I can't.
Honestly, we'll have to see how these next few weeks play out because the Giants very well could literally look like hard garbage. There's a good chance that the Giants could genuinely, right? Yeah, right. Philly, Jesus, fuck. And then who else? Who's in between? Denver. Jesus Christ, we're not beating Denver. We're not beating fucking Nick Bonito. Nick Bonito's gonna put up 1 billion sacks. Chicago, we're not beating Chicago, and then Green Bay. We still have to see Micah Parsons, of course. Detroit, the New England. We can win New England. We'll see how Detroit is. I think Detroit's a fraud team, but they're definitely better than us.
Vikings, Raiders, and then Cowboys around the season.
Yeah, we're poverty. Like we're picking within the top 5. We're picking within the top 5. Which honestly, I'm not even that mad about. I'm really not that mad about. Like, if this season fucking stinks, which I really expect it to, then, like, Brian Dable's probably gone, which I'm a little upset about. But at the end of the day, like, if this team is going to be this shit for this long with so many different changes at major positions, then, like...
What happened? Because y'all made the playoffs in, like, 22.
We had a booty fucking rock. That's the thing. Everyone's like... Everyone's like, oh, the Giants made the playoffs in 2022. That was a fever dream. I watched every game. That was the first season where I truly watched every game of Giants football that season. We won so many games by the skin of our teeth that we had at least like 6 one-possession games.
Y'all did.
We beat Aaron Rodgers. We beat fucking Lamar Jackson. There was a time up until Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones was the only NFC quarterback to have beaten Lamar Jackson.
He was, yeah.
Which is such a crazy stat. But yeah, we beat Green Bay, we beat Jacksonville, we beat Baltimore. I'm trying to think like what other crazy fucking games we had. Our season opener, we only won because Tennessee missed a field goal the last play of the game. We had other games that were just like really fucking close. I don't think so. I could be wrong. I think we did. I think we did play the Chiefs that year. 2022? Yeah, it was the 2022 season. We might have played the Chiefs. But yeah, no, we just had so many games like that. And it really just got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm kind of checked out. I think we played the full AFC South.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at all these games right now from that season.
Let me see.
All the games right now from that season. Majority of the games that you guys won were like one possession games.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yep. Beat the Titans, beat the Panthers. Lost to the Cowboys, beat the Bears, beat the Packers. We could have lost most of the... We could have, and I kind of wish we had lost most of those games. Like, we got to the playoffs. We had fucking...
Still don't know how y'all...
We had Minnesota. In Minnesota, mind you. Like, that was such an unbelievable game. And then we got blown out by the Eagles the next week. And then Dable won Coach of the Year, and everybody was like, "Oh, everything's gonna be so much better. Everything's gonna be so good." And there was so much hype going into the next year, and then we lost 0-40 at home versus Dallas.
Y'all did lose 0-40.
Yup.
And then that same, hope, everything.
Yeah, Andrew Thomas fucking tore. It was a great first drive. We had a fucking blocked field goal. Andrew Thomas tore because we couldn't fucking score in the end zone, or we couldn't score in the red zone, so we had to settle for a field goal, blocked the fucking field goal. Andrew Thomas tore his fucking, not his ACL, tore something in his knee trying to chase down a fucking return, man. It's been poverty for a while. But I'll say what though. Brian Dable had like 3 opportunities yesterday to name Jackson or to name Russell Wilson as the starter for week 2. He didn't do it. And like I'm not surprised because Brian Dable is a very just ambiguous guy. He'll just like give non-answers to the media when they're like, "Hey, is this person gonna play?" He'll be like, "We'll see."
When would you want to see Jackson Dart? Like the earliest. Like if you were the coach, when are you getting to see the Jackson Dart?
I mean, at some point you've got to do it just to save your job, right? Like having a new quarterback, it gives you a little, bit longer of a leash because you can be, hey, this guy has shown promises and I've been the one to develop him. So if you want to keep seeing this growth, keep me around. Which is why we brought in Brian Dable in the first place. We brought him here to find this franchise quarterback, to develop the system, to develop the franchise quarterback, and to build a team around them. And I mean, he did it with Josh Allen. See how that's working out. And we expected him to do it with, I guess, originally Daniel Jones, which doesn't make sense because Brian Dable didn't even draft Daniel Jones. Dave Gettleman did. Or I guess, I mean, Gettleman's the manager, but Shane, you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean, from there, it's like he had an extra 3 years with Daniel Jones, and all of them were shit, except for, the first one where he was there. And even then, Daniel Jones wasn't playing at an incredibly high level. He was efficient, and he got the job done, but like you saw, those games were skin of their teeth wins.
And even when he was playing great, like, great to him.
Great is right. Yeah, great is relatively average. To like any other quarterback. Like I can name like the last fucking Daniel Jones legacy game was like week 2, 2023 in Arizona. We were down like 20 going into the half. Came back and pulled it out. It was a good game. So bad for so long that the times where he was like above average, we were like, holy shit, we're back.
Any last words, man, about the Giants, about the season, about the future, anything, man? Any words of inspiration to like any other Giants fans out there who are listening to this?
I mean, if you're a Giants fan, you're not new to this, you're true to this. Like, there's nothing I can really say that would be like, oh, this is going to give us a better outlook. Because at the end of the day, we all know what it is. I'll say Jackson Dart we have such a late bye week, too. Like, we couldn't even reasonably just transfer him in, like, within the season. Like, if he plays after the bye, he'll be playing for, like, maybe 2 weeks. And by that point, the season's already over. Which honestly may not even be the worst thing, but I think if Brian Dable actually wants to save his job, and if we show, some possibility of being competitive, he's gonna play Dart like week 6, week 7. That's all I'm gonna say. Go Big Blue.